the small pots and planters. Oh, I need to record. Okay.
I started it, Helen.
Got it. Thank you. I need to write notes to myself so I remember. Okay. So anyway, I teach at the Dorothy Benson Center in Sandy Springs. Is that the center you attend?
Yeah. Are you
Okay.
going to start in person August 2nd or no?
I'm not sure yet. I have to tell
Okay.
Sharita. Yeah. Um, so anyway, we're going to do some online Zoom classes to see how that works. And you just told me that you don't have your supplies, and that's fine. Since you're a beginner, I need to go over the basics with you. All right.
Okay.
Now, what you need to do is get your 25-pound bag of clay from the not Dorothy Benson, Davin Ceramic Supply in Chambly. Okay. And do you live in the Sandy Springs area?
Yes, I
Okay,
do.
not that far, and we want to support our local clay vendor because not every city has like access to ceramic supply stores. And we want to keep this in business because if you order a bag of clay, that's 25 pounds. I bet the shipping is going to cost more. A bag of clay is it should be under 20 bucks or, around that much with tax. And you can make a whole lot of things with this. And I think in the description, it says to get the B mix.
The
Okay.
mix, can I can
And
get it online or well, it's not a good idea.
you really should go to the store.
Chambly, okay.
Okay. And it's the Davins. It should be in the description, your class description. Do you
Yeah, I saw
have
that.
access to that? Okay. It's Davin Ceramic Supply. And make sure you check the dates they're open. And anyway, it's only 25 bag. You just need one bag, and it's called B mix, but it's the low fire. It's the cone 5, cone 6 B mix. There's two types. And
0.5, 0.6, B mix, okay.
B mix, okay.
Yeah.
And you tell them, you're taking classes, online class, but at the Benson Center, they should know that it's the B mix. And the
Yes.
reason why we're using the B mix is it's a really forgiving clay, and you can do a lot of things. You can be rough with it, and it still seems to handle very well. Okay, clay normally comes out of the ground, but nowadays they formulate these, and each clay is formulated to sort of melt, kind of reach a melting point at a certain temperature. So um, you can either do a low fire or a mid fire. And at Benson, we can do a mid fire, cone 6. That means it's going to be strong enough to make items that can go in the oven, microwave, dishwasher. The low fire is probably not going to be as strong, not going to last that long, and might chip easily. So you have two choices. You can have your piece fired at low fire, which means you can glaze it with really bright colors, or you can get it fired at mid fire, which means you're not going to get as much bright colors like red, and yellow and all that. But it's a little bit sturdier. But with the planters, we can do low fire. It's no big problem. Okay. So with the hand building clay, we just have to let these guys dry very, very slowly, covered in soft plastic. And you kind of check on it every day. And I'll go into more detail with that. So we're going to be making planters. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about tools since you're a beginner. Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
thanks.
so if you go to Davin's, you'll find they might have a tool kit for like, I think it's about 20 bucks or $25. And it should have a sponge in there, okay? Or you can use any kind of sponge. But what I recommend, and I think it has a needle tool. You really need a needle tool because this helps you slice and dice and cut your clay. And to cut clay, you really need a wire cutter tool.
Okay.
So what it basically is if you don't have one, or if yours broke and you had a thin wire at home, you could get a pencil and break it in half and wrap the wire around pencil. It just needs to be taut, and you cut clay like this. So when you have your bag of clay, you want to cut a chunk of clay out. Oh, Lady Michelle, you're back.
Yeah.
Yay. Okay, I'm going over the real basics with Alka, right? Because she's new to clay too. She doesn't have her bag of clay either. So
Okay.
I'm going to go over with her. So we're doing the small planters, right, Lady Michelle? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so Alka, you really need a pin tool, wire cutter, the sponge, and let's see, I like, sometimes you can get this guy, okay? It has a little hook on here you can carve with, but it has a needle tool. So it'll take the place of this, all right? And then I kind of like these guys, all right? It's a wooden tool because it acts like your little finger.
Okay.
And a knife is important, okay? And
Knife.
sometimes you can find a knife that's attached to this curved piece, okay? I kind of bent the tip of my knife.
Yeah.
But this, see, this one's longer, right? So I can go in deeper. So I used this forever. And then finally I thought, okay, just go out and get this thing. The tools are usually about less than $5 a piece. And this, I think, is a Kemper blend. If you buy a cheap tool um, online, like Amazon, it'll break. Okay.
Ah,
Uh,
okay.
this is one of my absolute favorite tools. It's a carving tool. It's very small. It's the 6 inch, all right? And it's very thin wire. Do you see how thin it is? It's a flat, thin wire. Because you can carve uh, big surfaces and then you can make a fine carving point here. So I highly recommend this one. Yeah, I go through these a lot. One of the more important things you should get if you can is a flexible rib or kidney or whatever these are called. Okay, this really comes in handy. And if you can, you don't have to, but if you don't want to use this, you can use the multiple needle tool. This is for scratching and scoring quickly. I think that's it. And then I do like this guy. Okay, it's just a stiff thing. These I think are kind of on the expensive side. Okay, so I don't know if you want to get this or not, but this is really convenient to get. So, and then you're gonna need a rolling pin of some sort. So any kind of rolling pin, wooden rolling pin is fine. You're gonna want a wooden one because if you use a marble pastry rolling pin, it might stick. All right. Um, now, if you don't have any tools and if you happen to have clay today, you might get away with a fork and a spoon. Okay. The only thing you're gonna have trouble with is you need a needle tool, right?
Okay.
You have a big old needle or something you can use, but
So Helen, did you say that the store where you can get the clay from, do they have like a beginner's pack, with all of those tools in it?
sometimes they have that, and the brand is Kemper, Kemper. Kemper makes a pack, and I can't remember exactly what's in the tool. You'll find it cheaper on Amazon, that pack. Sometimes they carry it at Davins, but it's going to cost more at Davins, okay? But if you want the specific tools, I think the Kemper packs has this. I know it has the wire tool, and I think it has the sponge. Um, this is the one I don't know about if they have that. And if they do, it might be a bigger one. I don't remember. I can't remember what else they had. They must have some kind of a kidney, but I don't know if it's the flexible kind. All right. So you might want to get the Kemper tool online first and then go back to Davins to pick up, a few other tools. That might be the best way to do it.
Okay.
The KEM, and you'll see it's in like a bag, a plastic bag like this, and you'll see the tools. Um, I don't know if I can pull it up right now. You want me
No.
to try pulling it up right now? No?
No, don't worry. I can do that.
So, and like I said, we want to keep Davins in business, all right? Okay. So because we're making small planters, I go to like every time I go to Trader Joe's, in the entrance, they have the little plant section. Yeah, I get cacti, succulents there. And then I also go to IKEA, get them, and I think I'm addicted to them because I have so many. So the first thing we're gonna do is make a pinch pot one. And then next week, we'll do the slab, we'll learn how to do a slab one, okay? And then next week we'll do the slab. And then if you want, we can do the slab plus pinch pot one, okay? I know it's getting confusing here, but let me just show you some examples. Pinch pot just means you're just pinching, okay? What you're gonna learn, so I have cactus in this one. I was hoping it would grow faster in like bulge out of here, but I haven't done anything yet. We're gonna put feet on it, and I don't think I don't put holes on my pots. I guess I should, but and then this one was cut, but we're gonna learn how to do attachments if you want. Okay, well the feet are attachments. Okay, I'll show you another one. So here's one I did. I don't know what this plant is, but I made it wavy. It's a pinch pot again. I just made it wavy, gave it feet, and then I attached little round ball-like things and just and make marks, with the end of a tool. Okay, so that's another one. So this here is the combo slab and pinch pot, and I turned it into an animal of some sort.
It's nice.
Yeah, you just make a slab cylinder. All right, let me see if I can see it's hollow. So the pot actually ends here. Okay, and then I just kind of I just cut out ears or whatever. All right, so that's what that is. All right, and then I'll show you another slab one. Okay, this one's drying slowly. This is for my African violet, all right? You know how the leaves go out like this, and it was like it was bumping into the wall and everything. So I decided to make a cylinder and then the bowl. So it ends up down there, okay? So hopefully the leaves. So once again, that's just a cylinder and a pinch pot, very easy. But I did carve deeply into this one. And I'm letting it dry very, very slowly. Okay. And this is a teapot that I hand built, and it was just too heavy. So I just turned it into a pot. Now it doesn't have a hole on it on the bottom, but you know what? If you overwater it, you can pour out the excess. Okay. These are pretty cute. Just a pain to make it.
Yes.
And then sometimes I make these strange ones. And this is not glazed or anything, but it's just it's a little small pot, and it's ends up right here. And then I have it pierced so you can kind of see through. You can't tell on this, maybe.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so anything goes, guys. And one of the things you might want to do is look online, and there'll be so many ideas. But what we're going to do today is make a pinch pot, and you might want to make it like a little animal, all right? And then with the animal, you can learn how to attach things. So here's one that I made out of scrap clay. Nothing fancy, but I guess it has 2 feet, and apparently that's now become a tail. But I think it's an elephant nose mouse. I'm not sure. Okay, this one has the hole in it. So we're going to make a pinch pot, and then we're going to learn to attach things very well, okay? I did add the ears and the nose and the eyeballs. And I think that's it. So this is going to be glazed, singly glazed. One color glaze is what I'm saying. I put in somewhere safe. So that animal pot is bone dry right now. It's in the most fragile state. I'm gonna see. Okay, so we're gonna make the pinch pot today. Let me see if I can share screen real quick. Okay. Okay, so here's some that I found online, and they're simple, and most of them have feet. Some are stubby feet, little feet, big feet, and they make pretty cute gifts too. So you might want to make one of these. Oh, stop share. Okay. All right. So I'll show you how to do the pinch pot. Now, when you first buy your clay, it should be soft enough, okay? And I'm gonna take one. Oh, I forgot to mention this in the other class, but clay shrinks about 10 to 13%, especially if you go, the higher the temperature you go. So you have to keep in mind that it's going to get smaller when it comes out of the double fire. Oh, I know what I needed to show you, the glazes. Okay, because we're doing a lower temperature, and if you want to go super low temperature, it's called low fire. You can get some really bright glazed colors. And let me see if I can pull that up again. Okay. Okay, here we go. So if you really want bright colors, you can get bright colors. And you can also get like some colors that are modeled and have like different color combination. This is the mid fire. If you want to go higher temperature, see how you don't get as bright of a color. It's more like rustic, okay, versus the lower color, all right? So be thinking of, now, when we finish our pieces, somehow you have to get it over to Benson. We haven't figured out how to get it glazed and fired yet. So maybe when we open back up, you can come by and get it glazed, or we'll just have to figure something out. All right, so I'm going to show you how to make a pinch pop. This is called wedging, and basically you don't want to trap air in it, but you want to kind of fold it over, kind of like, I guess it's kind of like making dough, kneading dough. I'm not quite sure. All right, I'm going to take one that's about the size of a baseball, and you want to poke a hole in there, and you want to go slowly. You want to just squeeze, squeeze, squeeze like this. Okay, what you don't want to do is squeeze here. Right now, you don't want to squeeze there. All right, my thumb's not long enough, so I can press it and move it. I can feel it, okay? This is good because this pinch pop method is good because it'll give you the feel how the clay is squishing and moving around, okay? So, and then squeeze, squeeze, and I'm being careful not to squeeze here. It's hard to avoid it right now, but you know, try to be careful as much as possible. So I'm going to be, I have no idea what kind of animal, but I think I'm going to make an animal planter. Okay, you don't have to make an animal planter, but you can make whatever you want. Now, the good thing about hand building is you can make any shape you want. You're not restricted to round circle. I can make it, you know, this way. I can make it triangular, any way I want. So I'm putting my finger in and pushing, and it's expanding the clay. And you do need to kind of feel around and kind of notice how thick it is in certain areas. And try to even it out as much as possible. Okay, so here I go. Now, Alka, you're new, so let me explain something to you. When you finish doing it, do not go to the sink and wash your hands. You're gonna need a little thing of water. Try to get as much of the clay off as possible. And use paper towels, not a towel, because if you use a towel, then you might have to put it in the washing machine. You don't want to do that. Wipe off as much of the clay as possible, and then you can wash your hands in the sink. And whatever the leftover water, if you don't have a place to throw it away outside, just let it evaporate. And then when the clay is almost dry, you can like take it out. But the clay, you can reconstitute it. And also some of the, when it becomes like a slurry, you can use that as slip, which is kind of like helps with attaching pieces together. So take your time doing this, and you'll be like, I'm just rolling it, kind of feeling it. Okay. Right now the clay is super wet and mushy, so you can like really abuse it as well, you don't want to abuse it, but okay. Now I'm using this part of my finger and supporting it and trying to thin out the bottom. Okay, a little bit. Okay, and then the sides. Try to go like even strokes as much as possible. So notice the openings flaring out. Sometimes you want to tap it so it'll be flat and not, you know, mountainous. Okay, so I keep going and going. Okay, you don't want to make it less than a quarter of an inch. You can keep it thick because you can always carve away any thick areas later when it gets a little bit drier. Okay, right now this clay is basically wet. Hold on just a second. Okay. All right, so see how much bigger it's getting? It's growing. And
Can you, Helen, can you throw that in the yard or you don't throw that water in the garden?
you can throw it in the garden, it should be okay. Yeah, there
Okay.
might be some additives in it, but I don't think it's harmful for the yard.
Okay.
Unless your plant doesn't like clayey, soil, but just spread it out and it should be okay. Okay, so it's kind of on the thin, but see how big it got? Okay.
Wow. Mhm.
The bigger it, in the other class, we formed it in the bowl. And the reason why we formed that piece in the bowl was because it was a much bigger piece. If I made this super big, it would collapse. So it needs that bowl to support it. So if you are doing a bigger piece, you need to put it in a bowl or some kind of a form. But this one is for a small succulent or cactus. So it's not going to be that big. So right now it looks big, but it's going to shrink and become probably about, the size of the inside. Right?
Yeah.
The bigger you make your piece, the more noticeable the shrinkage. So if you have something this tall and 10%, it's going to be about that much. You have something this small, 10% is going to be only this much. Okay, so I feel like when I feel the walls, I feel like it's about the same thickness everywhere. Okay. So that'll be my whatever. And right now it's starting to get a little bit distorted because it's so wet and the weight of the clay itself is. So I'm gonna let it kind of dry up. Now, right now it's wet clay and it starts slowly drying. And eventually, when it's wet like this, you can manipulate it and squish it and mush it as much as you want. But as it dries, you can't really do that. We call it clay has a memory, but it starts to not like what you've done to it. Like if you yanked on it and then shaped it back in when it was drier, it's gonna break on you at some point because it didn't like all that stress you put on it. Now, I like this tool because I can curve it and then I can push and pull. You do have to push it a little bit, okay? And see how I got it smooth, okay?
Yeah.
You do it like right there. Just to get rid of my finger marks and all that. Okay, now I kind of have to decide what I'm gonna make here. So it doesn't have to be, realistic either. Maybe I'll make it more of a triangular shape. So it'll be more like maybe a mouse like. This could be just a head too. I have no idea. Okay, so any suggestions?
No.
Maybe I'll give it something with a long neck.
Make a mug, but it's too short.
Mug?
Yeah.
Yeah, mug is for the other class, the morning class. Yeah, this is the plant class. So yeah, I guess you can have a mug as a planter, huh? Okay, I just kind of smooth it out. All right, now I'm gonna tap, tap, tap. It doesn't have to be even on the top, but I'm just gonna tap, tap, tap. All right, now we're gonna put feet on this, all right? Right now, I know the bottom is thick, but I can always carve out the extra thickness. Or I don't want to make it too thin on the bottom because then it'll just collapse when I put the feet on. Normally, you want this to dry a little bit before you start putting feet on, but I'm going to show you. I'm going to see if I can do it before that. All right, you need some kind of a barrier between where you have it sitting. Okay, so I've got one of those, what is it, turntable thingies? Okay, so I'm gonna, I guess it's gonna stay roundish, maybe a little bit oval. Now I'll just keep it round. Okay, if you want, you can gently pat it. Okay, into shape if you want. Okay, right now it's still wet, so, all right, feet. A lot of times I'll just put 3 feet on them. Probably because I'm too lazy to put 4 feet, but 3 feet's pretty stable. And it's, especially if it's a small piece. Okay. Now I can make the feet as tall, as long as I want, or as short as I want, okay? What you just have to keep in mind is if you're gonna put some kind of a little dish or something, if you put a hole here, you know, the water comes out, then you need to make room for that. But, okay, right now, I'm just gonna show you how to make feet. All right, you want to do this because we need to learn how to attach things correctly so they don't fall off later on. So I'm going to make 3 feet. I'm going to, since it's an animal, maybe I need to make it look like a foot. All right, that means it's going to have 3 feet, right? That means I should make 4 feet, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to make the third one a tail because I want to give it arms. I don't have to make it arms, huh? Let me see, what am I going to make? Okay, I'll give it 4 feet, but I need to make the bottom a little bit wider. So let me stretch the clay out a little bit more. Now if you take classes somewhere else, you'll see people using hair dryers to dry their piece or heat gun. I never do that. You just have to be patient and make something else while you're waiting for this to dry. Okay, I made the bottom a little bit, the surface a little bit bigger because I'm going to put 4 feet on there. Okay, I'll probably put a long neck on this so that it becomes some kind of an animal. Okay, we'll make a fantasy animal. How's that? All right, so I'm going to use the needle tool, and I'm not neat when I make something. I'm not neat. Some people are very neat. They get like a perfect cylinder and everything. I don't do that because I can always clean it up later, and it's just too much trouble to make it neat. So I've got 4 feet about the same length. I kind of want to make it a cone shape. So I'll squeeze one side a little bit. Okay, just to make it, I mean, I don't have to, but I kind of want to make it. Well, I didn't do a good job of that, but that's okay. We can always fix that. Okay. Now I have to decide where I'm going to put these feet. All right, I'm afraid this is going to teeter-totter and fall over. So I may have to spread it out at an angle like this so that, you know, when the pot is turned over, it's not going to fall over from the weight. So I am going to, okay, if you have this tool, I put a little dab of water and then I really scratch it in deep, like make a mess like that. Then I wet this side. All right. And then instead of using slip, I just put the two together and wiggle, wiggle, wiggle until it makes mud right there. And you can feel the suction. And I am putting some pressure on this a little bit. Okay, and if I pull on it, it's not going to come off. You can feel it. I pulled on that. It's not really going to, and it should stop moving too when I wiggle. Okay, so see how I distorted the shape? Okay, sometimes you might want like a already finished leg and not distorted. You're going to have to let it harden a little bit before you do that. But then you have to add slip and be real careful attaching it. Okay, but I'm just going to, that leg is long. I can squish it down. Okay, I'm just going to wiggle, 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 wiggle. Okay, so see how I'm not really neat or clean about this? I just make sure it's on there real good. And this guy should have dried a little bit before I do this because I have to be careful I don't shove this guy down too much. Okay, I really dig in deep, make a mess. Little bit of water, dunk this in water, wet it, scratch the heck out of it. One more time. Oops. Okay, making a mess here. Okay, and then I can feel the suction. It's not going to move anymore. Okay.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. You know, like I said, there's more than one way to do something, but I just do it this way because I sculpt on it afterwards. You can make a really clean, neat foot, let it harden a little bit and carefully attach it using slip and being real careful cleaning it up and all that. But I think I'm just a messy person and just like doing it this way. Plus I like, it's not pre-planned, so I kind of let it evolve into whatever it becomes. I'm going to take, I can either take a pencil like this. Oh, wait, I haven't done that yet. Okay, I'm going to take, that's not it. Okay, this acts like a little finger to me. So I'm going to push it in like this. I'm shoving it in down into the clay underneath. I'm going to do this all around because I just want to make those two pieces become one. Okay, made a mess, but that's okay. You can always clean it up. All right, then you got to put a worm on here. And the worm should be slightly, just slightly wetter than that clay. And the reason why I say that is because when you roll it out, it dries it out. You don't want it slimy that it's gonna, you know, slip around. Okay, oops, wrap it around, wrap it out. We're just adding clay is what we're doing. Just the easy way to add clay. Always keep your clay wrapped up so it doesn't dry out.
So this is not a essential step, it's extra.
No, you need to do this. This is a reinforcing step. And also, when you attach stuff, you'll see this a lot with newbies. They'll just stick something on so it looks like it just stuck on. You really want something with a transition going on. So I did that, and then with some kind of a tool, because your fingers might be too big, you want that. Let's see if I can find the right tool. Oh, here we go. Okay, you want to blend that in, okay? You want to smooth that, blend that in. Let's see. And you got to do this part carefully. Now we're going to start being a little bit more careful with our clay. We're not going to be, you know, rough with it. All right. So with this, you can start smoothing stuff out. Okay, I'm doing it real fast, okay? Normally you won't go this fast. I got 4 of these to do. So when you're rough with the clay like I am, you'll find out how much you can push it. Okay, which is sometimes a good thing, because then when you're working on something, you might want to go, okay, if I do this, will it be okay? Will it make it? And you've had the experience here. It's good to learn from your so-called mistakes, but they're really not mistakes. They're learning experiences. Okay, so I made a mess here. Okay, now I can start smoothing it out, blending it carefully. Okay, support, blend, Okay, and sometimes the clay will be too wet and you can't really do too much to it, and you just let it sit for about 30 minutes, or yeah, probably about 30 minutes, depending on if you're working outside and the humidity is probably not gonna, you're gonna have to wait a lot longer than that. But inside, indoors air conditioning, it does dry out rather quickly. Okay, you don't want to work where the vent is blowing right on your piece either. That makes it a little bit challenging. Okay, so I've done that. Now, what you were looking for is this transition, this smooth transition, okay? This stuck-on thing, just probably, it's okay, but it probably isn't visually that attractive. Now, I have to decide which direction. I'm very carefully, I'm going to I'm working upside down, so it's a little bit hard to tell what the end product's gonna look like. But anyway, I'm going to kind of give it a little bit more of a curve here, or character, whatever you wanted to call it. Smooth it out. Make sure it's gonna stand and not tip over. And sometimes you have to, look at it upside down. And if you can't figure it out still, you can take your smartphone and take a picture and then flip the image and see what it looks like. Okay, so now it's really messy and ugly. When it's a little bit drier, I'm going to try to do it now. You squeeze out your sponge, squeeze out. This becomes your sandpaper, and you very carefully, and this does take a long time, you want to smooth out all the bumps. Okay. So you're just smoothing it out as much as possible. And on the first pass, it might not be complete. You'll have to let it dry a little bit and then smooth it out some more. Okay, at this point, some people will take a board and make sure it's level, but I don't, and I kind of eyeball it. And then I can make it level later on when I flip it over. Okay. So right now we have got to get this as smooth and clean as possible. It's still, clay is still wet and soft enough that you can change the shape and everything. What you don't want to do is put stress on joints, or like on the rim, pushing it out, pushing it in too much at this point. Okay. So I'm smoothing it out as much as possible.
So any pottery clay would do, or is it specific B mix?
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Helen, I had a question. Any pottery clay? Any pottery clay would be okay.
I would recommend you try B-Mix. It's going to be a slightly off-white color, so it's like a basic clay. And it's also very forgiving, meaning sometimes when it cracks, you can actually patch it up.
Okay. Okay.
Sometimes when it dried out too much, you can re-wet it. Okay, some clays you can't do that. It hates going back to the wet stage. So that's why, because it's easier to work with, you don't have as many challenges. Later on, when you have enough experience, you can try other clays. Some might be brown, some might be darker color, some might be tan, some might have speckles in it. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
But I would try this. And then plus this, when you want to put bright glaze colors on it, and most likely it's going to stay that bright color. Okay, I'm going to fix the tips of these, make sure they're all smushed. What you don't want is a pointy thing, because it'll chip off. You want kind of blunt. And I'm going to guess the length or whatever. If I wanted to, later on, I can put little toe designs on it. Okay, so that's where it's at right now. Okay, now, it's all wonky still right now. I still don't know what it's going to become, but I need to flip it over. Okay, normally you will wait a little bit longer until it's stiffened up. But let's say you had this emergency, you had to do it, okay? What you need to do is you gotta support. If I flip it over right now, those legs are gonna get squished. So I gotta make a support, and I gotta make a wide support, meaning I can't make a pokey support because it'll put all the pressure on that one spot. So I gotta put pressure on it all around. So I will make a roundish and flat with some extra clay. I'll make a roundish and flat support. Okay, it's going to sit there. All right, what I have to do, and this is very important, you got to put a barrier. If you don't, this guy's going to stick to this other clay. Okay, now if your piece is big and you're scared to flip it, you can always put a board and then flip it like that. But I'm just going to do this. It's going to distort. Mess up, but that's okay. Oh, that's too tall. Okay, so that little lump of clay is supporting the weight. Okay, and then I have to fix the feet because and see if I can get it to the way I want it. Okay, I'm not going to worry about if this is level or not. Not that much, at least. Okay, I'm going to, because this is going to be animal, it has more character if you kind of like make it a little bit wonky-ish, okay? All right, so now it looks like that, and it's being supported by that. Okay, but don't do it right away. Okay, let it set up for about 30 minutes or an hour because it's still way too soft. Okay, but for demo purposes, I'm just doing this as quickly as I can. All right, now we're gonna add, oh, he needs a tail of some sort. All right, so I will give him a tail first. So I need to decide what's gonna be the back. And kind of even out the shape too. That might help when all right, at this point, I need to, when you make a planter, you really need it to be straight up and down, because if you have to take that plant out, if you have it curved like this, it's going to catch, all right, because the roots are going to spread out. A lot of my planters are not like that. I mean, they kind of curve in like this, and so it is a little bit difficult to take the plant out. So you kind of look at it, turn it, and look at it. What you want to do is, if you can, get one of these turntables, because if you keep moving the actual piece, you're going to put too much stress on it at this point and might break something. So if you can, just get one of these cheapy things and put it on that. Put a barrier so it doesn't grab onto the surface of this. All right, so since I'm trying to make this into animal, I think I'm gonna shape it a little bit differently. I'm gonna kind of make it an oval shape a little bit, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so I'm going to brace here and kind of pull it out, wet it so it doesn't crack open on me. Okay. Okay, so this part's going to be the neck, and this part is going to be the tail. All right, tail. Now, what you don't want to do is make a tail that just sticks out, because you're probably going to bump it on something and break it. If you make it out of metal, you probably don't have to worry about it. But clay or ceramics, you don't want to do like this. You could do it like this, but be careful, okay? But anything that's like this is probably going to get bumped. So you can, if you want, make a tail like this. If you make it like this, you have to be careful too. All right, let's see. I tend to make tails that are attached to the actual body. But let me try something different. Okay, so you can make a tail like this. It kind of looks like a handle, right? Or it can go like if it doesn't stick out too much and if it's attached here, you can do it like that. I don't even know what this is going to be, so. Okay. Any suggestions what I should kind of make this? No?
You can put it inside, you can attach to the inside.
You can, but then you mean like this?
Yeah, well, no, a stand coming out. Yeah,
Kind of
like
from the
that.
side like that? Yeah, you can do that as long as it's on real secure. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna attach it here and probably kind of curve it to the side like that, okay?
Yeah, that looks good.
But you need to add a transitional piece because right now it's just stuck on. I mean, it just looks like stuck on. So I am going to scratch that real well. I need to clean this up because I'm not going to be able to get access it easily. So I will try to clean this up as much of it. Oh, you know what? I'm going to put texture on this. How's that? Let's see, what can I use for texture? You know, like a rat tail, you know, how it's really gross. Well, maybe I shouldn't do that. And then people won't like it. Okay, we'll just keep it plain. All right, I am going to now scratch this real good. I mean, see how deep I'm scratching it? Okay, and then this, I'll just scratch it and give it a little bit of water. It's so wet here, I didn't need to give it water. Okay, it's going to be attached here. And I don't have enough clay left. And then I'm going to, okay, probably like that, okay? I'm gonna have to scratch a little bit here, and this is where I'm gonna use the pin tool, needle tool. And you probably can't see it, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. And this guy, the tail is so slimy right now that this is where slip would come in handy, but I don't have any slip right now, so I'll just make this as muddy as possible. Squish, squish. And then I'll have to do the wiggle, wiggle, wiggle thing and being real careful not to mess up the tail, flatten the tail. Okay, so right now it's like that and it's kind of fragile right now. But I have to do this. I have to squish this into, like I did with the foot, squish this into this is why these little tiny finger tool, I call it a finger substitute, but they come in handy, okay? And I'll do it on here. I just want the two clay pieces to merge. Now, this guy is slumping and falling. So when that happens, sometimes you can use something to prop it up. That might work for now. Okay. All right. It's gravity pulling it down. So now you got to put a pretty good sized worm there to reinforce. This is going to reinforce. I'm going to, I mean, that's a big fat worm. Okay. All right. Now you got to blend those, really merge those two pieces really well. It's delicate work right here. And if the tail was dry, a little bit harder, stiff, I wouldn't have to be as careful, but you still have to prop it up because it's the way we put it, I put it on, it's going to pull down. So Okay, let's see. Very carefully try to blend it into that tail without messing up the tail. Now, if you messed up, you can yank the whole thing off and start all over again. It's not, you just get more practice, that's all. So it's not the end of the world. Okay, so now I gotta make sure that is supported, smooth it out as much as I can. It's kind of hard to see.
So Helen, so looks like you don't have to rush with this clay. You can take your time.
Oh yeah, you can take your time, yeah. So that's why you don't want to stand near air conditioner vent blowing on it because it'll dry up. Yeah,
Okay.
you can take your time. Now, if you're not going to touch it for a while, you need to cover it. If you have to like leave and go eat dinner or something,
I see. Okay.
cover it. Okay, so now I'm trying to get it as smooth as possible, which is kind of hard to do right now because it's still super wet. One thing you don't want to do is add too much water to your clay because it'll just get slimy and that's it. And it'll soften the clay. So right now I'm just trying to get it as smooth as possible here. And as it dries, I can take the sponge and kind of sand it down more. Clean this up and get down in here. Okay, whenever I attach something and I need to smooth it, I go in the direction of the main body because I don't want to pull this direction because that just means it's taking it off. So I always go in that direction. Okay, so right now this is too wet. I can't really do anything to it. This is supporting it. It shouldn't go anywhere. This should be on here pretty good. Okay, let me turn it this way. All right. So that's the tail.
Yeah.
I got to give it a head or neck or something. And what I'm going to do right now is let's go ahead and take like a 5-minute break. That'll let this dry a little bit. Because if I attach something here, it's not going to hold up. This is still too wet.
How long is this class?
It's 2 hours. Are you going to be okay with that?
Yeah, I didn't know. Well, that's fine. I have a class at 11. I'll take a 10-minute break.
You have a class at 11?
Yeah. I mean, not 11, sorry. 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock.
Okay. It'll be over. Wait. This started at 12, right? So be over at 2. So we can finish a little bit early so you can make it to your other class. Okay.
Okay.
So
Thanks.
let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break. And I'm actually going to turn on the AC because I know mine comes down this way onto this and it'll help dry out this a little bit more. So right now I just got to get all this off. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break. And
Thank you.
if you want to come back earlier, that's fine. And ask me questions, that's fine.
Okay, I'll see you in a little bit.
Okay, see you in 10 minutes. Thank you.
Lady Michelle, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'll see you in 10 minutes.
Are you all excited and you're going to go down and go get your play after all this?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'll try to get all the things I need.
Okay, which center are you usually at?
Darnell.
Darnell, okay. All right. All right, so see you in 10.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Hello.
Hey,
Hey. So had a question, Helen. Do you teach the other class, the 9 a.m. you said?
yes, ma'am. You
Is
can
it-
join us if you want next week. It's okay.
It's the same thing, but different. You make different things.
Yeah, we make different things. We're gonna, let's see, we started with a berry bowl, so I'm gonna continue the berry bowl, which is a bowl with holes in it. And it's like a small colander.
Yeah.
I just put my, like grape tomatoes, I put those in there so they don't rot. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Uh, You can put like blueberries and rinse them in there, but strawberries and whatever. And then we're gonna make a mug, one mug. And if we have time, we're gonna make a small casserole dish.
Okay.
Okay, so that one's, you still need to get the B mix, but cone 6, okay? Cone 5, cone 6 one.
Or number 6 for the, okay.
Yeah, cone means the temperature. It's a symbol for temperature.
Okay. And that's a 9 a.m. Monday? I mean, Tuesday?
Yeah,
Same
well,
day,
9 a.m. Tuesday, not Monday, today.
today, before this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do you think you're gonna like playing in clay?
I think it's cool. The problem is I'm out of town. I'm trying to get it through Amazon, or I have to find a place nearby.
Uh,
That's why. But
yeah, you really need to get it from Davins, because if you try to get it from Amazon, I don't even know if they have B mix at Amazon.
yeah, they don't. I think it won't even get here on time. So yeah, I have to find a store.
Yeah, it's in Chambly. Where do you live?
I live in Sandy Springs, but I'm out of town right now.
Oh, you're not here in Sandy Springs right now.
Right.
Um, that makes it challenging, huh?
Yeah, but I still watch you anyway. So it's
Yeah.
only what? It's only 3 weeks,
I think it's 4 weeks.
4 weeks, and then
Yeah,
you're gonna repeat it, or I guess.
probably. Yeah, but you can also watch the tape. But the thing is, you really need to try working on it, because you might have questions as you work on it, or you
Yeah.
might run into problems. So
You do it as you're doing it. Yeah.
um, work on it.
Yes. So are these can they withstand heat? Like if you make a coffee mug, you can actually use it to.
In the morning class, yes, you can actually use it in the oven, microwave, dishwasher. You don't put it on flame, okay? Don't put it on a burner.
Right. Not to
Just-
drink coffee out of coffee. Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. Okay, cool.
Okay, are we back? Let's see.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so now, at this point, I've got the air conditioner on. It's kind of stiffening up, but I have to be careful. I can't really put a whole lot of clay here. Plus, I have to think about the weight. Okay, it's gonna tip over. Oh, notice I put plastic here. This thin piece is gonna dry faster than the rest, and it's gonna crack off. So I have to protect it with plastic. It cannot dry. Okay, so I have a little piece of plastic completely covering it, so no air hits it.
So I'm sorry, the other piece you used looks like a paper towel. It's paper towel.
Okay, so remember I had to support the tail, the weight of the tail.
Yeah.
I just put a paper towel there so it doesn't, my little bottle wasn't tall enough. So this
Okay.
is gonna, give it a little bit more height and cushion, so.
Yeah.
So, and then I gotta put this guy back on, make sure no air gets in here, including the joint, okay?
Yes.
All right, so I cannot put a lot of clay here because I know it's going to break off. So I probably, if I made the animal turn its head, like it's, licking its, cleaning itself, then I'm probably going to be okay with the weight, but that's too much work, so. All right, we're gonna have to create a fantasy animal here. I need to make a neck of some sort and a head. Okay. Yeah. And always keep your clay covered. All right. So I'm going to make a little teeny tiny, and this might take a couple of tries. I might make something and says, no, that's not going to work out. If you know ahead of time what you have to make, then it's just making it. It just work. Um, the way I do things, I kind of let things happen, and it does take trial and error, but it's kind of fun because you never know what you're going to get. Ooh, this one might become like a human face. Uh-oh, it kind of looks like a snake. We don't want that. Okay, so the other pot I showed you, the face was on here. This one, it's going to actually be not on here. It's going to be separate. So right now, I just kind of made this weird thing. I'm kind of looking at it. Oh, maybe it's going to be like a bird with a tail. Okay. What you don't want to do is make something that's solid like this. That's too thick. So what I'm doing is making it hollow. Sometimes, when you make something hollow, it might collapse on you. So you can put toilet paper in here to support the shape, but this should be okay. So I'm going to move this so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just kind of smoothing it, shaping it. And I love clay because you can just shape it into anything you want, basically. Like if you press this into lace, it'll pick up the lace pattern, right? So it's kind of cool. Oh, this one might become more like a dinosaur. Oh, it's trying to become something. It's trying to be born. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes, I make something really ugly and then I have to start over again, but usually it seems to be okay. It's like a duck dinosaur. Okay, so I'm going to pinch this and just see what happens. Oh, it's kind of getting cute. Okay, let's play around with it. And this is good exercise, playing with clay and shaping things. Okay, stick my finger in there. Okay, right now this is what I have. Okay, let me try it. I don't think he can stick out like this. I think he's got way too much. So maybe he's looking up. Okay, or maybe sideways a little bit. Oh, like that. I like that. Okay, so if he's going to be looking sideways, I need to fill in this part. So my clay, and I got to turn off the AC. It's actually drying out this clay as I'm working on it. So that's another thing you got to have to be aware of, okay? Of how dry your clay is. I just wet my clay and I'm mixing it up really good because it's a little bit too dried out. Now it's going to crack on me. So let's see. Let me fill in that. Okay, I'm going to try to make this as thin as possible. So instead of scoring and everything, I'm just going to slap this on somehow. Hopefully it sticks. One of the things, if you know that you didn't attach things very well, if you wrap your finished product in plastic and really seal it good, you kind of give it like a steam bath kind of situation. Hopefully the moisture content will even out everywhere. That's a big head. I'm gonna have to shrink this down. That's way too big. Okay, and you can just slowly shrink it down. I'm gonna trap air into here. It's not just one way to do things, all kinds of ways. So You don't have to do everything just the same way I show you. Okay, it kind of looks like a bird right now, see? Still kind of heavy for this part. Okay, I need a neck. So for the, oops, for the neck, I'm gonna make a little cylinder. Let's see if I can shrink his head down a little bit. It's like a puppet right now. Okay. Okay, my clay's drying out as I work on it. Sometimes if your hands are really hot, it dries out your clay a lot faster. So you're gonna, don't add a whole lot of water at a time, but you may have to add a little bit water and mix the clay out a little bit. Okay, let's see. I'm going to give him a neck sort of thing. It's starting to look like a vulture. Okay. So we had somebody in class that was trying to make a dog, and it turned into an aardvark. It was so cute. She made another one. So you never know. Well, you know, she was trying to make a dog, but it didn't quite work out. Okay, so let's see what this looks like so far. Okay, it's a little bit big. Let me see if I can make it smaller. It's kind of hard to make tiny stuff. Okay, if you have something that's hollow like this, be careful when you're making it because it can collapse. But and if you attach it and it's completely sealed in, you have to make a little tiny pinhole somewhere to let the air escape, because as the clay dries, it shrinks and that air is trapped in there, and it'll crack your clay. So that's kind of okay, I guess. All right, somehow I gotta attach this. I didn't figure out that part, so let's see, how am I gonna attach this? I'm gonna cut off some of this. I always make it bigger than it should, than it's gonna end up, because then I can always cut it off to make it fit instead of it being not enough. Okay, so I have a problem. This is a cylinder and this isn't. So I will attach it here. Okay, so I'm gonna score it really good here. And I have to be careful I don't add too much water, because this clay hasn't had enough time to stiffen up, dry and stiffen up. But I'm gonna score it really good. I am gonna attach it right here in the front of the neck. Okay. And not everything has to be perfectly aligned. Okay. All right, I'm going to put a little worm there to reinforce that joint I just did, and plus it has a big hole anyway. A lot of the stuff you're going to do is going to include problem solving, and you'll be able to figure it out. Okay. All right, so I'm going to smooth that out. Make sure it's attached on there real good. Okay, so I've got this problem right here. So what I'm going to probably do, and go ahead and just attach it and let it flatten out, because we're not doing this anatomically correct. So I'm just going to score it in here if I can, and wet it a little bit and attach it. I'm going to have to use a tool. Now I have trapped the air inside of this guy, so I will have to make a little pinhole. need to add more clay here because this is a very thin area and has to support that head. Okay, it's getting real thick here, so I have to be careful. I do have to make it a little bit thick on this rim right here because it has to support that heavy head. And I'm actually going to move this in more carefully, a little bit at a time, because I don't want it leaning forward that much. Okay, you don't have to make anything this complicated, you know. I mean, you can always challenge yourself, but I don't know why I made something so complicated, but you can keep it simple like I made the other one. Okay, right now it's going to be like this, all right? I will have to make a little pinhole. In fact, I'm just going to make the pinhole where the eyes are going to be. I got to let that air escape as it shrinks. So I got 2 little holes in there, okay? I will smooth all this out later. I have to make sure this is on here pretty secure and that joint is thick enough to hold up the thing, but not too thick that it's going to not dry out, okay? Okay, so because it kind of looks like a bird right now, I think I'm gonna give it ears. Okay, so if you have something tiny, tiny, tiny that you need to attach, first thing you want to do is clean this off because it's kind of hard to clean it once you attach something on it. And I'm going to see if I can see what that would look like. So first I have to audition this ear. See if this guy's going to like this ear. And the ear, once again, you kind of want to make it conical shape. That means the whole thing is not going to be flat. It's going to be thin here, but thicker down there. Okay. So I can either put the ear like this. Oh, he's cute with the ears. Or that way. Okay. Kind of looks like a kangaroo. All right. So I kind of like the ear. Now it's going to add weight to the head. So I'm going to make it slightly thinner. Okay, these ears you can actually let it, if you want, you can let it stiffen up. You can clean it up and stiffen up and then attach it with slip. I don't have slip, so and the way you make slip is you either get a slurry or you can take one of these and chop it up and make it into a slurry, or you can dry out a thin piece and powder it up and then add water. Let me see if I have a container. Here we go. In fact, I have some in here that are dried out. Let's see if I can make slip out of this. Okay, so if I have an ear like this, and I want to attach it here, I should make a hole when this is drier and stick it in and then seal it really good. Because just sticking this on like this and then you got to put a teeny tiny worm in it, it's just too much work. It's not as stable. So what I might do is, if I like this ear, I think I might do it that way, but I have to wait until that guy's dry and not dry, drier, you know, a little bit more stable. If I make a hole right now, it's going to distort real bad. So in order to prepare for the little hole, I'm going to give it a little stem, okay? So I can either do it that way or I can just cut this off and put one in. I got to put a real tiny worm, but this might be easier. And I got to make another ear. And what I'm going to do is let these guys dry a little bit, and then I can clean it with the sponge and clean this part before I attach it, make the hole and attach it. Because right now it's just too wet, and once I get it on here, it's going to be real hard to clean it. So this part, it's better to just get it done. You have to think ahead, like, you know, how much difficulty it is to clean it after you attach it. I've got the 2 ears, and they will be, I can actually even put texture on here. Oh, texture would be a fun thing to do. Once it's kind of like more in the leather hard stage, you can carve and do all kinds of texture, and that's kind of cool to do. It's especially if you do a solid glaze, it'll pick up and show the texture. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Let's see. Okay, so on this one, you know, where I poked it, the glaze filled up a little bit more, so you have texture. And this is a carved piece, but it'll pick up the texture where you carve it. Okay. Okay, so I cannot touch this anymore because if I try to clean it with the sponge, it'll wet the clay and soften it too much. So I have to let it dry a little bit more. Oh, I just squished the ear. Okay, I gotta fix that. Yeah, put it aside somewhere safe because I just thought it was scrap clay and squished it. Okay, now I think I'm gonna give him, let's see. Let's see if I can get him cleaned up. Probably too dangerous. Okay, once it's leather hard, I can actually carve like designs on the side, and depending on the glaze, it'll pick up some of the texture. So at this point, I'm just going to have to let them dry a little bit more. And I can also carve designs on his feet, you know, like little toes or something, and make a hole in the middle. And when you, once it's completely finished, you can take, again, the very squeezed out sponge and smooth any kind of marks out, but you got to be real careful. And then you cover it very tightly with soft plastic and check on it every day. And you're going to have to let it dry very, very slowly every day. Okay. All right. Do we have any questions so far?
No, not for me.
No.
So do you think you're going to make a planter like an animal? You can, you know, like I said, you can make it, keep it simple like that. Those pictures I showed you. And let's see. And the little mouse, simple mousy one I made, Okay, you don't have to make it complicated. You don't even have to put arms on here. If you make a hole, make sure that, you know, the bowl part is the water's going to go down and fall, you know, it's inclined, okay, leaning towards the hole, right? You don't have to put spindly feet. You can put thicker feet. Just don't make it more than, make it less than an inch, all right? Thick. If you want very thick, chunky feet, you're going to have to hollow it out, all right, and then put it on. And if you don't want to do, if you don't want to do an animal, you can do an abstract one. You don't have to make it wavy like that, but once again, add feet so you can practice adding feet. And this one, I don't have a hole on the bottom. On a lot of these, you know how when you buy like drinks or something, the caps are big, especially if they're white, you can put it under here to catch any extra water. You know, the small caps and bottle caps, they kind of fit under there. Otherwise, like here's a plastic lid of this bottle, you know, for a bigger piece, it'll fit underneath it, right? And it'll catch the water. Okay, that's good. So I'm hoping that you'll be able to have started on this next week. I will have to show you how to finish, you know, clean up and everything. And you'll probably see the attached ears because right now, you know, I could try to do it so you guys can see what happens. Let me try to do it so at least you'll see how it's done. And hopefully it doesn't collapse on me. Okay, so I'm going to, oops. I'm going to very carefully support the neck. All right. Now I can carve a beak. I can carve a little feather-like texture on this. Okay. So I will clean them up as much as I can without making them sopping wet. I need to cut a hole. And the ears have to be a bit stiffer. Okay, one of the ears was too long, so I just kind of, they don't have to be exactly the same. Okay. So once again, it's kind of taper towards the point, but not too thin and not too pointy. All right, got to put the ears on. Okay. I am going to take, let's see. I'm going to take this tool, I think. I'll go ahead and use this knife and decide where I'm going to put the ears. And this is what I'm going to do. Hopefully the whole thing doesn't fall apart. But I am going to make a hole like that by twisting and turning. Okay. And make this stem part a little bit thinner. Let's see if I have any slip. Okay, I've got some slurry here. And I'm not going to score it. I'm just going to, it's too thick. Slime it up a little bit, okay? Oops. Okay, that's not going to go in. This guy off a little bit, make it a little bit stubbier. So he's pretty thin right here. Put some of that slurry on there. Okay, he's gonna go in now. Okay. Okay, I think it's going to be okay. Because the ear is so lightweight, it should not sag. Okay, so I've got that in there. And then I'll do this side. So I've got that slurry thingy. And because this is not like a joint that's, you know, it's not supporting anything, it is kind of just basically decorative. It should be okay. And plus I'm sticking it in the hole, so. Sure. Oh, it looks like a deer now, okay? So now we have this messy part here. You can, if you want, take a small brush and clean it up. Okay, smooth it out. And sometimes you can take the slurry and fill in some of the dents. Okay. All right, so that's what he looks like right now. Let's see if you could see this better. Is that better? Yeah, okay. So he kind of looks like a deer now. All right, I'm going to let this dry a little bit before I do any more work, but I have to, and then I'm probably going to do details by carving like the nose area and all that. I have to cover his whole head and the joint with plastic, and then I have to cover the whole thing with plastic because I don't want the legs to have a crack. So here we go. Now I'm going to put a plant in here, and this part, it should be okay because, you know, you'll have to pull the plant out this way, but it should be okay. So I will completely cover the joint and the head because I don't want any water, I don't want it to dry out. Okay, and then I'll cover the whole thing. And you want to use soft plastic. And sometimes you have to make a decision whether you want the plastic touching the piece or not. I really don't want any air, so this guy is going to be tucked in, and because I want that moisture content to even out everywhere. This is drop cloth from Home Depot. It's the really thin painter's drop cloth, and you get so much of it that it's kind of convenient to have. Okay, so that's going to be like that for a while. All right, so do we have any questions? Because let's see, Alka, you have a 2 o'clock class, correct?
Yeah, so why are you covering it now? I didn't understand. Why?
Any kind of clay you have, hand building, you have to completely cover it and let it dry so slowly. So I'm going to let this sit and kind of rest. And then maybe tomorrow or later on, I might uncover it and take out my very squeezed out sponge and see if it's dry enough to work on it. If you re-wet it, my neck is going to fall over. Okay, so I'm just going to smooth it out, let it dry, cover it again, come back the next day, do it again. So it does take a long time. You got to keep working on it to clean it up. and smooth
Oh, so
it out.
you'll keep doing that for a while and
Yeah.
till we see you next time?
And then it's probably, and then when it's leather hard, I can carve on it. Right now it's too wet for me to carve, okay? After I carve it, I have to clean it again with a squeezed out sponge, maybe carve it a little bit more. It's very time consuming, okay?
But we only see you next next Tuesday, right?
I think we have 3 more classes, so you see me 3 more times, I think.
So when we see you next Tuesday, this will be finished? Or we're gonna work on it?
Yeah, I have to finish this one because, well, it might not be. If I can keep it wet, I can continue on, okay? But I can
Yeah.
finish it because you've got the basics.
Oh, okay, okay.
Now, anything hand building is going to take a long time to be ready for the kiln. Okay, you can't rush it. If you force dry it too fast, it's going to crack.
Oh, I see.
Crack off, all right? So it's very slow process, time consuming process. And then once it's complete, almost completely dry, you have to very carefully take it to chastain. What I do is I wrap it with lots of towels. So it's like inside of a cloud of towels, you know?
Yeah.
Then I take it to not chastain, Benson. And then I put it in the kiln and I fire it the first firing. Okay, it has to be fired twice. I fire it at very low temperature the first firing, and it takes I'm going to let it heat up for 8 hours to get all the moisture out, and then I have to fire it to 2,000 degrees, well, almost 2,000 degrees, 1,900 degrees, to a low fire temperature. Okay, and then it takes about 10 to 12 hours for that. Then it takes about 7 to 10 hours for it to cool down so I can open the kiln. Okay, and then once it's done, hopefully by then we'll be open. You can glaze it and you paint it like 3 or 4 coats of glaze. All right, and then I put it back in the kiln, and then it gets fired once again for like 12 to 14 hours.
Wow.
And then it has to cool off again for 7 to 10 hours because it goes up to 2,000 degrees or, you know, close to that. And then you can take it home.
Oh, so it's nothing you can do at home. You have to be.
You can make the thing at home, but you have to bring it to the center. So in your case, Lady Michelle, you might have to bring, does Darnell do firings?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You can, if they're open, you can take it to Darnell and
Okay.
just tell them you want it fired, you know, pick out the glazes. You guys do low fire glazes, right? The colorful ones.
I guess, I mean, I'm new to pottery. I know they have a kiln and they do all of that, so I don't know all of the.
I do the higher temperature. So but you're in the morning class, so if you want like mugs and casseroles fired so that you can use it, you have to bring it to Benson.
Okay.
So, you know, because I go up to a higher temperature for those things.
Mhm.
So, I mean, you can go to a higher temperature with this also, but you don't get the bright colors.
Mhm.
Okay. So, and you can ask me these questions again later if you forget. All right. So I
Yeah.
will see you next week and hopefully you have clay because you really need to start working on it because things are going to happen. You know what I mean? And then I can help you better once you start working.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks
Does
a
that
lot.
sound like a good plan? So I'm gonna quit a little bit early because Alka, you need to get ready for your next class. And if you guys don't have any questions, we will see you next week.
All righty.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's been a good class.
I hope you're excited
Yes.
to make some. Okay.
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
Alka, if you want to do the morning class, just tell
Yeah.
Sherry, email Sharita, or I don't know how you do it. Email Benson or something.
Yeah, I'll look in the schedule. Yeah, fine.